Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here. Good morning, everyone. So, Marvel Studios and Disney are getting really desperate with Captain Marvel because they've just announced a special fan screening and they've just released a really special trailer. This is desperation because the tracking is not honest, it's not true. That's why this film isn't going to make the money they want you to think it's going to make. So this is their desperation is seeping out now. So what's gone wrong? Why don't people want to go and see this? Why is there so much negativity about this film? Well, that's simple. It is nothing to do with the film itself because I've seen the film. I've seen a version of it anyway, and it's a very passable, good film. One of the issues I will talk about, and I'm sure I won't get into any trouble for talking about this because we've seen it in one of the trailers, is the banter between Captain Marvel and what's his bloody name? Samuel L. Jackson. I forgot the character he's played. I forget all the bloody names, don't I? But anyway, right, the whole thing is there, right, that this banter is really well written, but the chemistry between them both just doesn't work. And this is the problem. She's the problem. This is exactly the problem with Doctor Who. They cast totally the wrong person without anything about them to make the role interesting. It's not in the writing either. And here, the writing's great. The film's pretty good and entertaining. The VFX is beautiful. But she's a bit of a problem. It's the way the directors got her to perform. I think it's not her. She didn't get up and decide how she was going to play Captain Marvel. She's told what to do by the director, right? But the bigger problem for Captain Marvel is Brie Larson and what she says publicly. Because when you're part of a big franchise, whether it's Star Wars or the MCU or, anything, the DCEU, you've got to keep your political statements to a minimum. Now, I've seen a lot of actors involved with big kind of things, and they speak a lot of politics. I come from a culture and a family that I was brought up that I shouldn't talk about my politics. And I do sometimes, and I'm sure you see me do it. But mostly I don't talk about my politics because I think someone's politics is their own personal business, and your politics is somebody else's spit in the face. I always say that. So you always got to be aware of how other people feel. You've got to have an emotional intellect. And this is the problem with Brie. She's gone around talking about white men very negatively. Most of her audience will be white men. There also will be white women who don't like what she's been saying. But I think generally, no matter what colour you are, where you come from, when people start talking about skin colour, it becomes very cringy and very uncomfortable. And when you start judging people on their demos, for me, that's very worrying. So I'm a Greek Cypriot. I'm kind of a white man, but I'm a little bit tan complexion naturally because I'm from Cyprus. But I was brought up in the UK, so I suppose you could call me a white man. So it's offensive to me as well. Now, personally, it wouldn't bother me if I've seen this film. I'll go and see it again to give an all-round kind of opinion piece on it when I do my review for it. But yes, their desperation is seeping. They are in trouble. They really are. And actually, it's a shame because you know what? Even though I'm a big DCU fan, Kevin Feige is such a lovely, talented man. I saw him talking at the Golden Globes yesterday. Such a gentleman. I'm going to do a video about what he had to say about Aquaman. He was very positive. He's always positive about DC, and he always says that a strong DCEU is great for the industry. And so he's a gentleman, but he's a genius, and he's a strong guy. And I do feel sorry for him here because he did come out and say Brie Larson is a fabulous actor, but when you look into someone's eyes, you can tell if the eyes mean what the mouth's saying. And I think this is a situation where he was forced into by Disney. I think he's getting less and less control of the franchise. The Disney politicians are now getting involved. And as I said before, this will be a problem for Kevin because he's such a good man. And in the end, he will have to walk away. He also spoke about ultimately doing a Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Listen, as far as that's concerned, he knows he's in a lot of trouble about that because without James Gunn, how can it work? I mean, they can write the film. The problem is he's wrote and directed them. This is a problem. This is a problem. Personally, if I was Kevin, I'd leave Guardians alone. Just leave it to die, because you can't do it. You can't do it the way he did it. That's the problem. I'm not saying someone can't do it better or as good. I'm saying that someone can't do it the way people want it to be now because of the way James did it. So if you can't give the people what they want, leave it alone. I mean, there's lots of so much projects. He also spoke about having ownership of the other Marvel characters from Fox. And he said, it's not just the big names I'm looking to adapt, it's the smaller names as well. And he had a lot of passion in his eyes when he said that. This guy loves comic books. This guy is a fan. And this is what's amazing about Feige. And yeah, that's one thing I do envy the MCU about, is Feige. I'm not saying that the 20 MCU movies are great movies. I think they've only had 3 great movies. I think one of those movies is Captain America the Winter Soldier, one of the best CBMs you'll ever see. But those have been very few and far between, as far as I'm concerned. So, and it's funny for me, really, when I think about the fact that Captain America the Winter Soldier wasn't nominated for a Golden Globe or an Oscar, but the lesser movie, the generic Black Panther, has been. Now, I don't want another strike on my channel. I don't want to go into why I think that's happened. I'm going to have to be very careful if Black Panther actually does win an Oscar, because I will be seething. And the only reason I will be seething is that film, on its own merits, does not deserve an Oscar. How dare they not even nominate Wonder Woman and, give Black Panther these plaudits for what? We know why, but I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it because, as I say, I can't. I've got to be careful. At the end of the day, I'm a fair-minded person. I love everyone. I judge people individually. That's it, not on their demos. That's the kind of person I am. But we all know that Black Panther is a May average kind of superhero movie. I would not expect Aquaman to be nominated for Best Picture, and I wouldn't expect Black Panther to be nominated for Best Picture either. I'm honest about what I see, right? So that's that. But if we go back to Captain Marvel, look, this has been problematic for a long time. This has been problematic. Well, I think when she was first cast, people didn't have a great issue with her. I think it's when she started talking politically. But it's like Disney want her to be saying these things. It's like they're stupid. It's like they don't understand how the world of business works. You, as the business, have got to charm the consumer, whether that no matter what colour that consumer is, no matter if he's a man, woman or beast. Yes, you've got this political stance and you want to attract a certain kind of person to your film, but that won't make you the money you want. And now you realise that. So now you're so stupid, you're doing this special event, this early release for the fans, that only half the audience will turn up to, because you've already put the other half of the audience's backs up. These are people who work at Disney, who should know better. My advice to all of you, whatever studio you're from, learn from this, learn from Doctor Who, and understand one thing. You cannot defeat the consumer. You cannot put the wall over our eyes. We are fed up of the politics. We are fed up of being fed lines. We want to enjoy films. That's it. Make good films. Give us the escapism we deserve. I love MCU fans. I'm a DCEU man, but I love MCU fans. I know I speak a bit negatively about the franchise sometimes, but I love them. They're passionate people. They're great people. And you are insulting them, Disney. Not Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige's a great man. He's fighting for the MCU fans. But right now, the MCU is becoming more and more woke. And this is a problem. A problem. Those fans deserve better.